Morning. Hope everybody's doing well this morning. Sorry for a little bit of a late start. Just a couple minutes here because I was having some computer issues this morning. Well, that and I woke up later than I usually do. My wife took my son to school today so that I could stay in bed a little bit longer, which I was very appreciative of. Morning, Ben. So the giant box sitting right there is the Tevo tornado. It has arrived. It got here yesterday just before I had to walk out the door to leave for work. So I haven't had a chance to open the box or anything yet. So maybe we'll do that today. And I did start. I started a print last night. A few of them. I still got some supports to remove, which the supports are being a pain. They really kind of fuse themselves to the model. So cleaning them off has been a nightmare. I still got a bunch of them to remove, but started printing the guard shack. I got the chair, the console, which the console came out great. That little Trunks EX1 did a phenomenal job because you can get it to focus. You can even see the it's not wanting to focus today. Anyway, you can even see the keys on the keyboard on the console. They came out really nice. And then I've got oh, morning, Ed. Yeah, I think we might do that. Joe, morning. Yeah, we might do that today because I don't have a spot to put it yet. Is my problem. I haven't cleared off a spot for it, but we can unbox it and make sure everything's okay and figure out where I'm going to put it. But yeah, I purchased an Ender 2 and a Tevo Tornado from Chris Riley. The Ender 2's been here for a while, and I've had it printing, and it's sitting right there, and it does a nice job. And I've also got the Tevo Tornado here now, so gotta open it up and make sure it survives shipment. Huh? I don't. Oh, there it is. So here's my knife. So I'm gonna cut the package open here. But nice packing material there, Chris. He included the test print. I know nothing about this machine other than it's a Tevo Tornado. I don't know if he's done any modifications or upgrades to it. He even included the Christmas card that Tevo sent along with it. Oh, cool. Set that over there. Those. The assembly manual. That's a nice little manual. Replacement build cheap. Everything appears to be in good shape there. Oh, Chris. Chris sent me a bag of benchies to go with the printer. Morning, Papa Top and Don and Matt, aka Jake from State Farm. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out where I want to put this thing. Oh, look, I have my first one of these. Then a package of Bowden tubing. Everything looks like it survived shipping, though, which is good. Alright, well, now I gotta figure out where to put this thing. I got a big blank space here, but I didn't want to go down close to the floor. May not have a choice. For right now, because I need to buy another shelf. I think I can buy another one of these shelves. I got room for another one over here. I think I could put it up, and then I could put the 3 little printers on it, and then the other big printer here. Well, the main thing was I wanted to see if everything survived shipping, and it looks like it did. Hi, Joey. Are you sniffing stuff? All right. Morning, John. Oh, cool. Getting a build tack flex system for your Wanhao. Nice, Don. So yeah, Tevo Tornado. I just got to get it, find its home and get it set up. It looked like it survived shipping just fine, which is good. Hope everybody's doing well this morning. I've started printing the guard shack. A screen share here. Move the chat over here. So those familiar with the guard shack, they're have seen it before, but there may be some of you that have not. There's the four walls all laid out in one print. It's going to be 14 hours and 44 minutes. So I got to load. I think I'm gonna do this in the Paramount 3D graphite gray. So I'll do the walls in. Not sure what colors I'm gonna do what color I'm gonna do the floor and roof in. When I modeled it, I modeled them as a that kind of blue-green color, which I've got a turquoise, but it's a much lighter turquoise. It's kind of pastel. It's not exactly what I want for that. So I don't know. Maybe I'll dig the blue out and do it in blue. Morning, Brian. And then I also printed. That's the arm for the guard shack. Printed it all on the ANET A8. Printed the chair, the arm, and where did it's still sitting right there. The gun rack. Printed all those together last night before I left for work. Yes, I actually trusted the ANET to complete a print while I was not here. Risky, right? And then I've got to iterate the pin that goes through the hole there because it's too big. I did not give it enough clearance. So I've got to iterate that pin. I got to finish cleaning the supports off the chair because, like I said, they fused to the model. So they've been a real pain. Other supports that were in the model did not fuse to the model, but for some reason, or the other pieces, but for some reason the chair decided it wanted to keep its supports. But if it didn't work out, I do have another copy of this chair already printed in blue. Just blue wasn't the color I wanted. The blue one was when I was testing iteration I did to the chair. tired this morning, guys. It was a long week. It was a good week, but it was a long week. This is my weekend today. I have to squeeze my whole weekend, wrap it all up into one day. Yeah, I still can't believe what a nice job that X1 did on the security console. It turned out so nice. That's one of the best quality prints I think I've ever gotten. And it came off the Tronxy X1. All you folks out there with your Mark IIIs and stuff, you're like, ah. Oh. Nice thing about having multiple printers is having different colors loaded up on them, so that stuff you want in specific colors, you can just start that on that machine. Yeah. Yeah, Tuesday is my entire weekend. Oh. I kind of have a half day tomorrow because, you know, I do my Facebook music stream, and the stream itself is only an hour, and there's about an hour worth of setup and tear down, so it's only a 2-hour day. But so yeah, I gotta get my gray filament loaded in the S4 and get this print started. Get the Tevo set up. Figure out what color I'm gonna print, because I'm gonna print the roof and the floor the same color. Figure out which filament I'm gonna do that in, and load that up, and use the Tevo to print the roof and the floor. And then when the walls get done, I'll go back and print the guard post stands. Not where I want to put that, but I think it's where I'm going to have to do it for now. So as far as what I'm modeling now, it's time to start something new, and then continue working on some old stuff. Get some of these benchies out that Chris sent me. Sent me an orange benchy, a green benchy, a blue benchy, and a light blue benchy, and a red benchy. I like that red. The red benchy's a little stringy, but I like the color. I have to ask Chris what that is. So it looks nice. See, Chris prints so many benchies, he looks for excuses to get rid of them. So now I have 5 more benchies. You go with the silver one I printed. So I've only ever printed 1 benchy, but now I own 6. Morning, Minnesota Maker. Joey, get out of there. Stop. Oh. Yeah, I'm having a hard time getting woke up this morning. I opened my eyes, I looked at the clock, and I went, oh, I better get in there and get started. And then I pulled up the live stream dashboard on YouTube, and then my browser crashed. Yeah, I haven't had any coffee yet this morning. Hey, Mike. Never let the machines win is in the house. Right now, the only machine that's winning on me is the Tornado, and that's because I just don't know where to put it. I haven't cleared off a spot for it yet. Excuse me. Like I said, I can do it down here in this open space down low, but I really want to put a printer down that close to the floor. Oh, I got an acupuncture needle in there. Look at these side cutters and compare them to the ones I got. Not bad. It'll be okay. Oh, yeah, I guess I'll put it in here. Look. Untangle some stuff. I guess that'll work. Where did I put the bag with the bolts? There we are. So yeah, I guess when he bought it, it must have been close to Christmas time. Because, yeah, Tevo included a Christmas card. Okay, these must be the ones that go up underneath. Started. Start to the side. Screws started. There's the Allen wrenches. Sorry guys, I can't see chat. I'm down here on the floor. Oh, Chris is here. I already let the cat out of the bag, man, that I bought it from you. And Chris Riley, who is now on Twitter. So yeah, now I have at least one printer from every one of the primary Chinese manufacturers. I have two Crealities. I have a net, a Tronxy, and a Tevo. I got them all covered now. Chris Riley now on Twitter. Need to figure out which one of these hex keys is the right one for this particular job. That one's too small. That other one was too big. So it's between that one and this one. I need the one that's in the middle of that. Eureka. I am just dropping this left and right today. And hold on to the hex key. Probably because I'm trying to work at such an awkward angle. And working down here on the floor. Get too old for that. Ah, there you go. Yeah, I noticed that you. I got a scraper and side cutters now. I still didn't own one of these, so this is my first one. I've been removing stuff by just extending my razor blade and getting it up under there. So yeah, that'll actually come in handy. Now, had you modified this one at all? And like the Ender 2, you know, you put the auto leveling sensor and stuff on it. I didn't know if you'd modified this one at all. No mods on this one. Okay. So you're saying I might want to add some TL smoothers to it and stuff. Oh, I'll have to wait and see what the salmon skinning looks like in person to see if it's even something that's going to bother me. It might not. I know it bothers some people, but it hasn't bothered me so much looking at it on like a computer screen, so I don't know if it'll bother me when I have it in my hand or not. I'm guessing the modifications you did to the Ender 2, because you told me you didn't like the Ender 2. The modifications you did to the Ender 2 is probably trying to find a way to like it. Which I think is funny, man, because I love it. It prints great. Oh yeah? Oh, maybe I'll have to do that. Now that's the salmon skinning is what? It's caused just by pretty much the drivers they chose to use. If they would have used better stepper drivers, they wouldn't have that problem. Yeah, I can see that. It was kind of an odd choice, going with the 3-point bed leveling. Brian. As long as you include the trademark there, right? Well, so maybe that's the next thing to do, Chris. Maybe that's your next big project, is design your own printer. Put all of the things you would want to see in a 3D printer in it. And see if your build total comes out cheaper than the best printers out there, because I'm sure it would. Although I guess your build total would probably be more than a Prusa, but less than an Ultimaker, right? If you were building your perfect printer. So, before I do this, just once again, a quick tip for those that have to deal with T-nuts. Put them in the position that they're going into the extrusion first, and actually snug them down a little bit. Then when you put them in, you can back it off, and that'll make the nut turn when you back it off far enough, and then snug it down. And then if you see them in a configuration like this, where there's one that's in the middle that you can't see from the outside edge, start with it. And if you get it put in where you can't pull this off and it's snug, then you know it turned the way it's supposed to, and then you can kind of see the ones on the outer edge. Listen to me sounding like I actually know what I'm talking about, right? See, yeah, it didn't grab. Back it off. Guess I didn't back it off far enough. Snug it down. Not moving. Tighten the center one, and it only the center one, and it doesn't come off. So there we go. I know it grabbed. And then you can see the other ones. Watch that one turn. It turned good. And that one turned. Snug, 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 and snug. That is the Z limit switch. Turn loose. Maybe a lot of slack on that, did they? the switch plugged in. Keys there. And this one is keyed right there. All right. Well, it's all assembled. Uh-oh. I'm gonna have to come up with a spool holder for this thing. Or print one. So, tilt the camera down. It's in its temporary home. Of course, it's on the floor, basically. I mean, it's on the bottom shelf, but so it's on a shelf, but it's not on the shelf that I want it on. I want it on this shelf, but there's 2 printers already sitting there. But I'll move it eventually. I'm gonna get it powered on right now and make sure it all powers up. Feed that down through there. Plug it into there. Run that from the other side. Hi, Joe. Plugged in. All right, folks, here goes. First power on. Oh, might help if I turn the power strip on. There we go. I keep the power strip off because neither one of these have power switches on them. Cool. So I guess the next thing is I'll have to come up with a spool holder for it. And I know, man. I've got 5 printers now. Yeah, I just got to figure out a spool holder for it. Joey. That's why I didn't want it down low. I don't want dogs sniffing around on it. You leave it alone. Hey, come here. Come here. Tell the people good morning. Hey, good morning, people. Okay. Now go play. Go. It's my co-host. And my co-host went outside and got his feet all wet. Nice packing material, by the way, Chris. I was like, what? Did he send me a mattress pad? That's what it looked like, was a mattress pad. Make sure nothing fell off and was rattling around down there. Put all this back here. But this one totally survived shipping, man. We didn't have any incidents like we did with the Ender 2. And I love that Tevo sent you a Christmas card. So you must have bought this around Christmas time for 2017. Well, I knew that was the thing that was holding it up, was finding a box big enough to pack the thing in. But no, good job, man. It arrived here safely, and everything, nothing looks bent or crazy. Ender 2, when I opened it up and I saw that the Y motor was bent badly and the belt was nowhere near the track, I went, oh man, it took a significant hit there. But this box also arrived in a lot better shape. The Ender box, it looked like the Postal Service treated it the way Ace Ventura treated that package at the beginning of the first Ace Ventura movie, when he's walking on his way to see the guy, and he's like playing soccer with it and doing cartwheels with it. Yeah. Yeah, I put it over here. Their build sheet feels about the same as the. It feels like it's kind of similar material to the TH3D build sheet. Yeah, Mr. Veteran. That's what it looked like for the box looked like when I got the Ender 2. So it took a little straightening out. But I pulled on the Ender 2, all I had to do was take the Y motor off and take the bracket off. And then I took the bracket out to my garage and laid it on a flat concrete surface and gently just tapped it with a hammer until it was flat again. Well, like I said, it powers on like it's supposed to. I just got to come up with a spool holder for it now. Maybe I need to go to the hardware store and get myself another redneck spool holder. My Tronxy X1 has a spool holder that I cobbled together from PVC pipe. It was like $3 worth of PVC pipe and 20 minutes to cut it up. Which only took 20 minutes because all I had was a very, very dull hacksaw. Oh man. Okay. You get Ryan and Brian both going. It's a good day. All right. So yeah, we've been on for an hour, and all I did manage to do was unbox and get assembled and plugged in a Tornado. But I'm still moving slow this morning. I'm tired. It was a very, very hard week. but big crowds and lots of requests, and it was fun. It was a good week. So yeah, I sliced the guard shack walls yesterday before I left for work. And it says they're going to be 14 hours and 44 minutes. Thanks, Don. Appreciate it, man. But having the S4, I could fit all the walls on one bed. I couldn't have done that with any of my other printers. Actually, I had it arranged. Excuse me. I had it arranged that I had both of the floor and the roof on there as well. And the reason I took those off, I had the floor, the roof, the door, and the gray parts of the post, these parts here and here, on there. I had it all arranged on there, so it could have printed it all at once. And the print time for it was 1 day and 9 hours. And I went, no. So I took everything but the walls off the build plate, rearranged them, and I was like, I'll handle this in smaller chunks. I'd be a nervous wreck waiting for all those parts for 1 day and 9 hours, and just one part could fail and ruin them all. You've been busy this morning, Brian. Yeah, I didn't have to take my son to school this morning. My wife did it for me. So yeah, he's being needy. And you've been out in the backyard again, and your paws are all wet again. He's got a doggy door. He can come and go as he pleases. Yeah. He's a spoiled puppy, aren't you? Yeah, you're a spoiled puppy. See, I get everything I want when I want it. And I think that it should just always be that way. So I have no patience when I want something and I'm not getting it immediately. Because I always just get what I want. Don't you? Mommy spoils you. Daddy spoils you a little bit, but Mommy really spoils you. Yeah. That's your sweet puppy. Oh my goodness, you're being sweet. Okay. Go play. Go play. Go do something. Go. Don't give me that face. Go play. So I printed the arm for the gate. I've printed, which I got to reprint the hinge pin because it was too large. So let's iterate that right now. should make that smaller. And then let's just make sure it still passes all the way through, because scaling it down it now. Okay, we should have clearance now. It should have clearance. So save and file, export STL. So yeah, the thing I discovered the other day, if I can export just the one item if I click the checkbox selection only. And that's the hinge pin, scaled 1000, export. So when I get this all printed and assembled, tested, and iterate whatever things, I'll make the final improvements to the one that's on Thingiverse. And so far so good, man. You know, again, that Trunksy X1 knocked this out of the park. That's just insanely nice. We have clearance. Yeah, I already tested stuff for scale. So it's all the right size, and it sits at the security console. Yeah, Matt, aka Jake from State Farm, had people talking about airplane the other day, and he said, "Just don't call me Shirley." I need to make more actual tutorials. And I will. It's in the plans. I've been thinking about, I need to sit down and draw out a plan and get it planned up several weeks in advance. What I would like to do, and again, it's going to require some planning, and I got to make time for that. What I would like to do, and I'd like to do with this channel, is I want to sit down and come up with a bunch of short, just few minute long, 5 minute long or so tutorials, and plan them out really well. And then every Tuesday, do one of those right at the beginning of the video. Do like a quick 5-minute tutorial, 5-10 minute tutorial at the beginning of every video on Tuesday, and start calling it Tutorial Tuesday. And then we'll hang out after. What do you guys think? I was thinking about that yesterday. Yeah, so just a quick little 5-10 minute long thing teaching you all something. And but I need to sit down and plan them out in advance so that I have several weeks worth lined up, because I know what'll happen. What'll happen is days like today, where I woke up late, I had a long, hard night last night, I didn't have any time to sit down and game plan for today at all. And so I need to have like, 4 or 5 of them lined up ready to go at all times. That way when I have time, I make sure I have 4 or 5 of them lined up, and that way I have a chance for a couple weeks in a row to be crazy and I didn't have any time, and I'd still have something lined up and prepared. I need to be more Chris Riley-like about my videos. Plan. He's always planning, which is why his content is so good. Well, that, and he's a genius. Right, and Chris's videos are so good because, well, number one, he's a smart dude. And number two, he plans everything out in advance. He's probably already got the next 2 or 3 videos recorded and edited. He stays ahead of the game. And I don't know how he does it, because the dude is busy. And yet he somehow makes time for us when we have problems. So yeah, other than the supports fusing to it, the ANET did a nice job with the stuff it printed. And I let it print while I wasn't home, and it didn't burn my house down. So I'll take a little support cleanup when it did all the other things right. But it really did fuse this stuff to the model. Like, worse than any I think I've ever tried to clean up. Hey, Robbie. Right? Oh, we were just talking about you, Chris, and how running a successful YouTube channel requires being more like you, where you plan stuff out. And you know what you're doing before you have to do it. Yeah, the supports on that fuse too. My God. No, man, seriously. I mean, you're a good dude. You're a smart dude. You know what you're doing. And you plan ahead. Because I was just saying what I want to do, and the reason I'm not doing it this week is because I just thought of it last night. Is I want to put together a bunch of quick 5-10 minute tutorials, and just kind of line them up and get myself, at least 4 or 5 of them lined up before I start doing this. And every Tuesday, start my Tuesday off with a quick tutorial. And then we'll hang out after the quick Joey. And then we'll just hang out after the tutorial's over and call it Tutorial Tuesday. Joseph. No. Come here. Come. Quit being a turd. Come here. Silly. No. No. So yeah. So I might need a little time to figure this out and get some ideas lined up. But yeah, I want to start every Tuesday with a quick tutorial. Like I said, quick being 5-10 minutes. And we'll still hang out for 2 hours, but the first 5-10 minutes of every Tuesday will be a quick tutorial, and we'll start calling it Tutorial Tuesday. Morning, Vince. So I need to brainstorm and sit down with a notebook and just write down some tutorial ideas. And then I need to go through them myself and make sure I can teach the subject. I hate to go, today I'm going to show you how to do something I have no idea how to do. Man, Chris, that little Trunks EX1 is a much better machine than people give it credit for, at least after it's been modified. Because that is such a nice print. Those layers laid down on top of each other, really nice. Hey, 3D printer noob. I know what you're all thinking. Oh Lord, he broke out the knife. Everybody be ready, this video is about to go viral. Blood is gushing everywhere. Just trying to clear up some of that support material. It just really fused the model. You may have to go upstairs and get the blue chair. Yeah, I think so. You know, that's a lot to do with it, because I mean, you know, it's a Bowden extruder, so there's no weight on the print head. There's no heat bed, so the bed is really light. But man, it just, I mean, the fine detail on that keyboard that my camera won't focus in on. The keyboard and the 5 monitors. And I printed it laid on its back like this. And, I mean, it came out great. So, I mean, I would say of the printers that I have and that I've printed with, the X1 might be putting out the best quality prints right now. Maybe. The X1 and the S4 are right there with each other. They both are printing out very, very nice And then the Ender 2 is good, but I'm getting bad elephant footing on the Ender 2. No matter how much I try to level it, the first layer is too close. After that, it prints beautifully. So if I just plan for the first layer is going to be a little over squished, then it's fine. And then the bottom, the least quality prints I get is out of the A8. So it needs some help. I'd like to turn it into an AM8. Which, I mean, not that it does like horribly, but you can definitely see some waviness and stuff in it. And like I said, this time the supports fused themselves to this part only. The other parts, the support materials removed okay. I thought they had fused to this, but it was only that first little edge of it. Then they came off clean and easy. So I don't know what would cause it to fuse to this, but not fuse to the rest. It's, you know, so you can see the artifacts from the support material that were left behind. I don't know if it's just the complexity of this model. But yeah, I would say the S4 and the X1 are neck and neck as far as quality of prints they're turning out. And then I think the S4, I think what'll make the S4 better is getting that auto level sensor that I bought from TH3D put on there. I think that'll help. I just haven't had time to get around to doing it. I've had stuff to print, and I didn't want to take the printer down long enough to do that. Now that I've got the Tornado here, it can handle some of the larger prints, and I can afford to take the S4 offline. Once I check to make sure the Tornado works good, but I need to get a spool holder. I think I'm just going to go to the hardware store today and buy some PVC pipe and make another redneck spool holder for it. So yeah, make another redneck spool holder, and then I'll be able to shift. I can shift some of the large prints over to the Tevo once I make sure it prints good. And then I can take the S4 offline while I put the new build surface on it and bed leveling sensor. And update the firmware for the bed leveling sensor. Silly dog. Right? Yeah. I don't understand that. Why would you ever ship a printer unless it was like the cheapest of cheap without any form of spool holder? Because those spool holders, you know, stamping out a little piece of steel and putting a plastic cylinder on it. What's that cost the company? 17 cents? Raise the price of your printer 17 cents. I mean, even that A Lunar A8 I've got came with a spool holder. It's a crappy spool holder, but it's a spool holder. So yeah, I think maybe some of the artifacting and stuff that I'm getting off of the A8 would be solved by the frame being more rigid. So I think if I did a AM8 conversion to it and made the frame more rigid, it would be better. Because it is my lowest quality printer from a print quality standpoint. Yeah, yeah, that is interesting because, you know, a lot of people credit Creality and then call the others clones. But in some cases, like as far as I know, the Tevo Flash came out before the CR20, and they appear to be clones of each other. I would be really interested. I'm I'm very interested in the CR10S Pro. If you guys have seen that, there's Creality's got a new CR10S Pro coming out that it's got the electronics all on the base and a touchscreen like the CRX. Yep, probably on the comparing the Tornado to the CR10. Yeah, the Tevo was it came out quick, and they paid attention to some of the complaints about the CR10, and that was the long heat up time for the bed, and so they went with a bed that would heat up quicker. And then I think um, some of the other more popular clones, like the G-Tech A30, is a popular clone. The AlphaWise U20. The AlphaWise U20 addresses a lot of the things that people complained about initially. Because the AlphaWise U20 is running on a 24-volt system. It's running a 32-bit ARM processor. There's a touch screen, albeit a small one. But I know it's not perfect. 3D Maker Noob, Joe, said that it still needs some refinement. The AlphaWise U10, which kind of cracks me up, the U10 is the bigger one than the U20. It seems like they went all out budget-wise to be as cheap as they could put together a machine of that size. If the U10 would have came out after the U20 and would have incorporated some of the features that the U20 had, I think it would have been a much better machine. Yeah, the CR10 came out and it began the race to the bottom. It began the race to see who could offer a machine that the community would want for the cheapest price. Which may not have been the best thing for all of this moving forward, because then you had a lot of companies cutting some corners they shouldn't cut, and and rushing machines to the market that weren't ready because they didn't want to put the additional expense into the development of the machine, because that would drive the price that they would have to get for the machine up. So they just started slapping together machines that as quickly as they could, with very little research time, very little development time, with the cheapest components they could find, and then relied on us to find the problems with the machine, and then they would go back and iterate the design and continue shipping. You know, a lot of people talk about the cost of a Prusa machine, and this is coming from someone who does not have one but would like to have one. I think the cost is justified. I think the cost is very justified because they put the time for research and development to make that machine cutting edge. You know, to make it have features that nobody else has, and to be committed to making sure it works, and even once it's out there on the market, to listen to customer feedback and support their product and make sure that their customers have the best experience possible. So from that standpoint, you know, $750 for a kit, it's not expensive anymore. Because you look at the bevy of machines behind me, none of them have half the features of the Prusa. And to add those features to any of those machines would, I mean, any of the Creality products, you'd have to replace the board with a higher end board. Yeah, because, I mean, Prusa really, the quality of their printer is on par, and in some cases exceeding, that of much more expensive printers on the market. What? What do you want? I can't help you. I don't know. I don't know. All right. So, like a machine that, and forgive me to those of you out there who own one, don't get mad at me for saying this. Joseph, I do not understand the price point on a Lulzbot. I don't get it. I understand the price point on the Ultimakers. The Ultimaker's not targeting us. They're not targeting a guy who has a makerspace in his house. That's not their target demographic. And I guess it's probably not for Lulzbot either. But the Lulzbot machines are your typical Cartesian machine. I mean, I don't see anything that makes them so over the top unique or special that demands that $2,600 price tag on the Taz 6. I don't see it. Yeah, I would say, yeah, Prusa's biggest drawback is taking everybody's money and then not delivering them a product for months. That's their biggest drawback. But yeah, So, Lulzbot leaves me scratching my head a little bit. What's the other one? Maker Gear leaves me scratching my head a little bit as far as, like, show me why it's worth that much. Somebody show me why. Right. So, I understand Ultimaker being the price point it's at. That's their target demographic is a demographic that spends more money on stuff. We are not their target. So, pound for pound, the best machine aimed at the home maker demographic has got to be the Prusa. Really. I mean, tell me one that's better. Because the lower cost, all these lower cost machines, like you're lining the shelf behind me, are machines that are targeted at not just the home market, but the tinkerer, the someone who's not afraid to take something apart and fiddle with it. Because if you don't know how to put stuff together, take stuff apart, and mess with stuff, get something, to get something dialed in, if you these are not the machines for you. Yeah, that's probably true, Mike. Is they jumped into the market when like MakerBot and companies like that were their only other competitors out there. And so, yeah, I could I could understand that, and then it would look bad on your company to suddenly cut your price in half and go, oh no, our prices are we've now lowered our prices. Well, if you could afford to sell it at that now, you could have afforded to sold it at that all along. So are you telling me you were just, the thing I guess for them to do would be come out with a new machine that new machine was at a lower price point. But yeah, the things that I see from them that it just doesn't justify the cost. Like the Morstruder. The Morstruder looks great. It looks awesome, and it obviously makes some strong parts because when Joel Telling was testing the strength of the shelf brackets, the strongest shelf bracket he printed was printed with the Morstruder, and that's because it just dumps globs and globs of plastic down. Welcome back, John. Glad you made it to work, and glad nobody was bleeding on your way to work today. Heard about that yesterday, man. That sucks. I think the guy was going to be all right. For those who don't know what's going on, John helped a motorcyclist yesterday on his way to work that had been in an accident, and I guess he was couldn't move and couldn't get up and get out of traffic and was bleeding and everything else. And John stayed with him and helped make sure he didn't get run over. Right. Yeah. That's exactly it, Chris. There's nothing like no frills to a Prusa. There's no they didn't once they figured out they had the part where they were happy with it, they didn't go and injection mold it all and start shipping all their printers with injection molded parts. They still 3D print their parts. Well, that was it was very good of you, John. In this day and age, not everybody does that sort of thing. So, good on you, man. Really. It's what this world needs is more people, with the compassion to care about other people. Yeah, yeah. Prusa is holding tight to the whole rep model, which is printers should be able to print themselves. Although I guess the printer that's truest to the whole rep printer being able to print themselves mantra is the Snappy. It would be interesting to build a Snappy, but you would have to go into it knowing that no matter what you did, it wasn't going to print well. You might get it to print, and that's end of the story. Is it prints? You can't say it prints beautiful. You're not gonna get. You're not ever going to get this, off of a Snappy. Ever. Snappy can't. Because Snappy has 3D printed lead screws. And when you say that out loud, say that out 3D printed lead screws. Just saying it out loud makes you go, "What? No." Yeah, and Walter has, his 3D printed extrusions on his 3D printed printers. John is not here now. Good to have you, John. So yeah, talking about printers being able to print themselves and self-replicate, the Snappy is the truest to that form because I've seen some videos of a guy that built a Snappy and then he was using the Snappy to print another Snappy. But I don't think I ever saw the conclusion of that. Because I think he was having too much problems with the print quality to get the Snappy to print the other Snappy. So that might be the challenge for you, Chris. Build a Snappy, and then the next project is the Snappy building another Snappy. Of course, that means at the end of it, you're going to have two Snappies, and one's going to be a little bit less quality than the other. I guess the real challenge would be use a Snappy to build a Snappy to build a Snappy to build a, and see how many steps down the line you could go. How many times you could use a Snappy to build a Snappy before it wasn't usable at all. That'd be the challenge. See how many times you could do it. See if you could get a Snappy to print a Snappy, and that Snappy to print another Snappy, and that Snappy to print another Snappy, and so on. Of course, the bad news at the end of that is you would have a bunch of Snappies, and all of them would be crappies. You would have crappy Snappies. And each snappy would be a little crappier. Right? So yeah, at the end of it, you got like a whole bunch of snappies sitting around. And you're like, okay, well, this was the last snappy made. I'm gonna give it to somebody I don't like. Because it prints everything it prints looks like a dog turd. Oh yeah, Mike, that would be the other cool thing is to just use um, do all of your printing with start the first one off with fresh clean rolls of filament and print it in colors that make sense. And then as you go down, just start using leftover spools. Like, okay, I got a little bit left on this spool. And so then they would get crappier and uglier as they went until the last snappy looked like some sort of mad scientist Halloween experiment and printed like it too. It would still be fun and interesting. And Chris probably has enough stepper motors laying around and boards to make that happen. Oh, you talking about hooking up a pallet 2 to the Snappy? And using the pallet 2 with the Snappy? Oh, that would be crazy. Well, that's like I wanted to when I first thought about building a Piper, I wanted to build a Piper but then put all like premium components on it. And then worst case scenario, I've got all the premium components at the end to order some extrusions and redo it right. Um, but yeah, I thought build a Piper and put a duet board on it and a mosquito hot end and a Bondtech extruder. Yeah, the $1,500 Piper. And so you'd have this cheapest as cheap can be frame with all top-notch components everywhere else. And then just see what it prints like, to see how much of what we see in our prints. The question would be how much of what we see in our prints, the quality wise, is based off of frame rigidity versus the quality of the components. So you would have the cheapest frame with probably the most compromised rigidity out there and be running all premium components on it. So if it printed beautifully, you would know components played a lot into that. But if it's still, with all those great components, printed like crap, you would know frame rigidity was more important than anything else. And so then the flip side of that is build another printer that you go all out on the rigidity and the linear motion. So put linear rails on an aluminum extrusion frame with all the frame stiffening that you can, and then build it with all the cheapest components, the cheapest board, the cheapest hot end, the cheapest that you can find. and then run that experiment, do that test side by side, where here we have the cheapest frame with all of the best components, and then here we have the best frame with all the cheapest components. Print the same models side by side, look at them, and then when it's done, tear both of them down and build the best printer with the best frame and the best components. And then maybe send all the lesser components to somebody who wants to tinker. But yeah, that would be the experiment. Is well, we could A and B it. We go, okay, here is the best frame rigidity and the best linear motion. Here is the cheapest linear motion and the cheapest frame. Put the cheapest components on the best frame and the best components on the cheapest frame, and run them side by side, and A/B it and say, okay, well here's the benchy. Which, by the way, thanks for all the benchies there, Chris. I now own 6 benchies, and I only had 1 benchy. What color of red is that? Because that's really nice. I like that. But yeah, then you could see side by side what matters more. What is the more important thing when you're building a printer? Is it the quality of the components you use, the quality of the extruder and the hot end and all that? Or is the quality of your frame really the thing that matters? Your frame and your linear motion. Because if I had to guess, my money would be on the frame and linear motion. I think the cheapest components out there would make beautiful prints on a rigid frame with linear rails. Nova Maker Red. I'll have to check that out because I like that. And I'm needing a red. And I like that red. It's nice and shiny and it's a nice deep red. So yeah, my money would be on frame rigidity and quality of linear motion. Because I think the cheapest, what's the cheapest board out there? Is it the Melzi board? Ramps? Okay, so you just go get the cheapest ramps board you can find, the cheapest clone hot end you can find, and everything. Just cheap out on everything, but then put it on a nice solid rigid frame with some linear rails. And see what you get. Because my bet is you'd get, once you got it dialed in, you'd get something that printed pretty nice. And then your big money cost in that would be the linear rails. And then you go flip side that over and put together like a Piper frame. And then you put a Duet Wi-Fi on it and a Mosquito hot end and just go, all out. And you do the Piper frame right, so it's, the best that it can be. But then you have a frame that costs you $30, carrying, $1,000 worth of electronics and hardware. Yeah, the X1 is doing really well now. I think it would be an interesting experiment. It wouldn't be a cheap experiment by any means, because all said and done, you'd probably have a couple grand sunk into it. But it would be interesting to see side by side, and then you could tell people which by the end of it, you could tell people which components really matter the most. And then the absolute end of it, like I said, you tear them all apart. You take all those expensive components off of the cheap frame. You put them on the really rigid, awesome frame, and you end up with an awesome printer. So you get some awesome content and an awesome printer at the end. You and Sanjay to have a heart attack. That's what you're saying. And say, what are you doing? No, you can't do that. That'd be great. Yeah, so I think it'd be an interesting experiment. Like I said, it wouldn't be a cheap experiment. There'd be a couple grand tied up in the whole thing, but you'd get some good content out of it, and then by the end of it, you'd have a top-notch printer at the end of it, because you'd tear the two apart and use the best components all around and put it back together. So you'd have the rigid frame with the linear rails and the duet Wi-Fi and the mosquito hot end. And well, we didn't really accomplish anything today other than I put together a Tevo Tornado and we sat and talked. Yeah, well. So we just sat and kind of hung out today. Today was more a hangout than a modeling thing. We didn't model anything. But we put together a Tevo Tornado and powered it on, and it works. But I got to go make I got to go get the parts to make a redneck spool holder for it, because it's only $3 to buy all the PVC to make one, and doesn't take me near as much time to run to the hardware store and buy some PVC and make a redneck spool holder as it does to print one. So it's cheaper and faster just to go buy some PVC pipe and make one. Yeah, we're coming to the end of this. Appreciate you guys as always. You guys are awesome, and thanks for hanging out with me, and even on a day that I didn't do anything. So sorry if I wasted your time. I didn't mean to be a waste of time today, but like I said, I woke up late. I woke up tired. I'm still tired. I want to go back in there and lay back down. I might before I run to the hardware store even. But you guys are amazing as always, and we'll see you all Thursday. Hopefully Thursday I'll be more awake and more ready to actually do something. No problem. Like I said, I wish I was sharing information with you as well, because today was just hanging out and chatting. But yeah, you guys are awesome, and I'll see some of y'all in Mike Whaley's stream tomorrow, and then see you back here on Thursday. And yeah, until then, everybody be awesome to one another, and keep making stuff. And that's what we're here for. Just make stuff and be awesome to each other. Later.